Rushing mad like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just a brother for the rapture. I hang glide, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a gauntlet and start killing. It's manifesting. The guards work like appliances, dealing in my single.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys a major update for the Boruto anime. Boy, do we have some spoilers for the anime. These are promotional spoilers, and a couple of these episodes, my interest is highly piqued. So first and foremost, if you do not want to go into the upcoming anime episodes, so Boruto episode 224 all the way to episode 227, if you do not want to be spoiled on any of this information, I recommend clicking off of this video. However, like always, I will say that this is promotional information. Japan wants you to know this information. This is stuff that they're publishing in their TV guides and anime magazines, and these typically don't give all the information for what's going to happen in the anime episode, just enough to get your mouth watered in anticipation. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this very good information we have for the anime. So first and foremost, it looks like these chunin exams, they weren't gonna last long. I know that's a little bit of a disappointment to some people. However, like I said, the whole purpose of these chunin exams, in my opinion, was just to highlight the growth of different characters in Boruto's generation. Basically, off-screen power cliffing, much like how you saw Neji get an off-screen power cliff where there were brief moments of training after he barely survived the battle with the Sound 4. During the Sasuke retrieval mission, you saw Neji briefly train with his uncle, and then you go into the time skip. It's like, wow, Neji got stronger. It's a similar type situation here, and I gotta say, the ending of all these spoilers that we have, which are courtesy of Organic Dinosaur, which much thanks to her for translating this information, it does look like we're going to get a major confirmation about a character, and I love it because I talked about this briefly in a video, which is it does look like Sarada got promoted to chunin, so that's gonna trigger some people, but I'm 100% on board with this. So let's go ahead and look at the information we have. So starting things off with episode 224, which is going to be airing on November 14th. It's titled The Legend of the Monster Cat. This one's obviously wasabi heavy, and so the promotional spoiler for this says that the next matchup in the final test of the chunin exams will be Iwabi Yuno versus Wasabi Izuno. They mutually have strong competitive spirits. Since the two of them normally have a lot of clashes with one another, Iwabi is perplexed by Wasabi's behavior. For some reason, Wasabi is being unusually unlively. Actually, Wasabi feels crushed by the pressure. Up until now, the Izuno clan has had a poor track record and is lacking in achievements. As a representative of the clan, Wasabi feels burdened by their hopes and expectations. Wasabi has arbitrarily decided on the limits of her own capabilities and seems to have given up. Seeing Wasabi in such a mood, Iwabi then loses his temper. So okay, I'm gonna make a prediction here just based off of this. I think Wasabi's gonna win this fight. I think that Iwabi is gonna end up jobbing himself. So you guys know I've said for a while, I feel like Iwabi's whole purpose is to essentially play the Yamcha role, where Yamcha got introduced as this very talented fighter, but Yamcha was basically used as a litmus test to basically power up and show the threat level of other people. So with Iwabi got introduced as this guy that was able to push Boruto during episode 2 of the series, but then Mitsuki shows up and Mitsuki just bodies the guy. That's what's gonna happen here. Iwabi versus Wasabi is gonna end up happening. They're gonna clash. Iwabi's gonna have the upper hand, and he's gonna realize that Wasabi's holding back, and that it's because it's a mental nerf. And I know that that might be something some of you guys might say that's a little bit of a pull, but it's important to remember that in the Naruto franchise, your mental mind state goes a long way in battle. And a perfect example of this would be how, like, Minato during the 4th Great Ninja War, when they're fighting against Obito, before he realizes that it's Obito, Minato's stats are absolutely insane. And then once he realizes that it's Obito, for a brief period in time, Minato's stat levels just drop. There are a few more examples that I could go through, and there are some databook scans that were used for Naruto manga I could put in the video, but that'll likely be another video of another time. But what I will say is this: what we're potentially seeing here breaking through her limits after that mental beef up. It's not anything new in the franchise. The difference here is that this is going to be a little bit more in your face, whereas Naruto was more so on the subtle side. When we get to episode 225, which comes out on 11/21, this is the Chocho versus Sarada battle. So this was something I talked about in a video that came out earlier this week, where the thumbnail said no chunin. I talked about the pros and cons of Sarada becoming chunin and why I personally felt like Sarada versus Chocho needed to happen. So this episode confirms that it's taking place, and one of the things I warned you guys about is actually happening in the episode. Chocho got an off-screen power creep. It looks like the members of Team 10 have done off-screen training. So right here, the synopsis says that the format of the final exam is actual combat. The remaining contenders are continuing on their friendly matchups and are battling with their all might against each other. And now the matchup between Uchiha Sarada and Akamichi Chocho has begun. Of course, the other Genin who participated in the chunin exams are in attendance as well. Kawaki, who was invited by Naruto, as well as Shinki and his comrades who have come to observe from the Sand Village, are paying close attention to the match. The two of them, Sarada and Chocho, promise to have a serious fight. Meanwhile, they seem to be evenly matched. Everyone is holding their breath in anticipation as they intently watch over the fight, with the two of them being on the same level in terms of their abilities. What will be the outcome of this showdown between close friends? So yeah, I'm going to bring your attention to a phrase in here, which is they seem to be evenly matched. The reason why that stands out to me is that leaves a little bit of room for interpretation, and that also goes back to one of the things I literally just said, which is the whole thing about the mental nerf. I'm not sure which character in here, but I do believe there is a possibility that one of these characters is gonna end up in the same situation with Ino and Sakura, where this is why I say it's important to read the manga, because in the anime version, when you have Ino and she's recalling Sakura being bullied as a kid, the anime didn't do as good of a job highlighting that the bullying that Sakura went through was physical bullying, where you see scrapes and you see blood on the character, and Ino seeing Sakura just bleeding and scraped up and everything is what triggered something like that. I'm wondering if they're going to do a similar thing here, and if that ends up being the case, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed. I understand the importance of highlighting the Sarada and Chocho bond, but what I worry about is this whole thing of putting two female characters against one another and kind of downplaying the match. That's one thing I do not want to see, and I am a little worried about this episode. I'm not even gonna sit here and cap. I'm a little worried about this episode that they're going to downplay the abilities of the characters. I understand that this is a chunin exams arena, but this is a fight where on paper, if the two of them are going 100% serious, and it looks like Chocho got that power creep that I told you guys it looked like they were hinting at in the last episode when the butterfly was going across the screen and we just saw her training. I'm hoping this is a very good fight. Let's go ahead and say that now. If this ends up being a garbage fight, I am going to rant, unless there's some narrative intent, where the narration for this, which I talked about in my video earlier this week, where the narration is really able to make this a more emotional fight. So episode 226 is titled Samurai versus Science, which is going to be airing on 11/28. So for this one, it says that the individual matchups of the final exam are underway and the winners have been announced one after another. There are only a few matchups remaining. However, Boruto and Mitsuki have yet to appear at the venue. That's interesting. So we're going to see why I believe in this upcoming episode, because those people came into the village. Getting back to the spoilers, there are only a few matchups remaining. However, Boruto and Mitsuki have yet to appear at the venue, but at this rate, the two of them will be disqualified, and it's making Sarada feel anxious. Meanwhile, the next matchup is between Dinky and Tsubaki. Ninja have a different way of battling in comparison to Samurai. Tsubaki has her own merits and abilities. She's about to face off against Dinky, someone who has developed his own scientific ninja weapon tools and is taking them into combat. The use of science ninja tools versus the Samurai. A unique tournament matchup is about to unfold. So I actually have high hopes for this one, and I'm going to go ahead and say, and I'm actually sitting on a video titled Chunin, and I'm gonna have Dinky on there. I do believe Dinky's gonna win. I think it's for a couple of narrative reasons. So number one, you're not gonna have Tsubaki achieve that rank of Chunin unless Tsubaki wins her matchup. The other thing is her being defeated by science is a good segue to her going back to her home country in the land of iron, and realizing that she needs to bring the Land of Iron up to the technological standards of places like Konoha, and also with Sumire being back in the village. And I'm not going to go into full spoilers here, but with Sumire being back in the village and no longer on the border of the Land of Fire where that ninja weapon tech facility is, so with her being back in Konoha, you can open the door for her to go back on missions with the members of Team 15, especially if Wasabi ends up becoming a chunin. There is a possibility for that, so you don't need Tsubaki in the village anymore because Tsubaki was meant to replace Sumire, and you can just explain her interacting with a certain character as during the time she's not on those missions, she's that character's assistant. So I'm okay with this. I think that narratively, that's where they're going with this right here. I think Dinky's going to win. Again, I'll go further in detail in a video later on. Now, episode 227 is titled Team 7 in their final mission. It's going to be airing on 12/05, so December 5th. So this one is the one where I said it looks like they made Sarada the chunin. So it says, with Sarada as their commanding officer from now on. Oh, I can already picture some of you guys being pissed right now. Hold on. Hold on. I mean, at the end of the day, you guys should have known it was coming. Like I talked about in the video earlier this week, I said, hey, they make her a chunin. This totally explains why Boruto and Mitsuki were looking to her and basically following her lead in Boruto chapter 58, and why Sarada was talking like she was the team leader. And I was like, I don't know, maybe that's because they gave her unofficial title, but like Konohamaru was watching off from the distance. This explains it. Sarada's a chunin. You can bank on it. So with Sarada as their commanding officer from now on, it's been decided that Sarada, Boruto, and Mitsuki will now be performing missions as Team 7. Since Konohamaru Sarutobi won't be with them on missions because she's a chunin, the three of them will be a bit lonely. In the meantime, Konohamaru has left to conduct a mission with his cousin Mirai. Mirai has just come back to the village on the verge of death. However, it was supposed to have been a simple mission. When Mirai regained consciousness, she was able to report the state of affairs that changed their initial expectations of the mission, and so it's been decided for reinforcements to be dispatched to Konohamaru's location immediately. Those reinforcements would be none other than Team 7. So I like this, and I do like the fact that like in the last couple of episodes, you see Kawaki there, and so that would explain why Kawaki does what he does in chapter 58 and why in chapter 61 you have the scene that takes place. So I like that they're building up towards the stuff that's in the manga and kind of explaining certain character interactions. I think the big thing here is I think that they're going to use this Mirai and Konohamaru stuff as a good way to kind of dive into what we get in the manga, where it gets revealed that the outer members of the Kara organization, so not the inners are people like Code and Delta and Boro, those are inner members. The outer members are people like that woman that was working for Victor, people like that, people like Al, those are outer members of the Kara organization. Sai said that they were rounding up outer members, so I'm wondering if they're going to use this as a segue into this. And if this is what they do, if we go into December, because December is the month of Jump Festa, and they announced that the anime is going to be doing a anime original arc about these Kara outer members and rounding them up, I think it's something that could work. Kara Actuation was about 18 episodes. They used these chunin exams as a segue of just transition episodes, and typically when you have transition episodes like this, there's usually a longer arc that's coming, and because it's December, I can see how this kind of lines up. So I mean, I'm curious. I'm very excited about this, man. I'm gonna go ahead and say, just for scaling purposes, is if we take Shikamaru's own words in the Shikamaru Shinden novel, Mirai Sarutobi should scale somewhat relative to Shoujoji's. That gives you a starting point for the power levels of what we're going to be seeing here in this upcoming arc. So my question to you guys is, which of these chunin episodes are you most excited about? And do you agree with me? Did they just confirm that Sarada got promoted to chunin? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.